Welcome back to the Week 3 or Bust Show. It's Roto Heat Rick here with Bryce and a very special guest, the legendary Sully. Sully, how are you doing Sunday morning? We normally see you on Tuesday and Wednesday nights.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday nights, it's earlier than you guys, so I'm thinking this is great. It's in like a primetime show. This is early, man. It's like 8:30 in the morning. I'm usually struggling to get out of bed and figure out who I'm starting. So I figured I'd show up here with the two experts to figure out who I should start and sit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Bryce, how are you doing today?
Rick, I'm always good. Looking forward to this show today.
How are you? I love it. I'm great. Hey, if I'm breathing, I'm good, right? We unfortunately this week we got some news about Tags.
Yeah.
And his unfortunate passing, battling COVID for the past few weeks. And, I just feel blessed to be here with you guys talking fantasy football, and just wish the best for everybody out there and send my thoughts out to the Tagliere family. All right. We got a lot of stuff going on this week for football. A lot of people injured, either questionable, doubtful, who the heck knows, right? Like Lamar might just have to poop. We don't even know what's going on with him. But we're going to get into that today. Anybody out there, if you got questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. And we will make sure to get to those. But Bryce, what game are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
Obviously, as a Patriot fan, I watch them every week, but I don't know who's not excited just to watch good football against Tampa Bay and the Rams this week. That game to me could be potentially the game of the year. So that's definitely a game that I'm looking forward to watching other than my favorite team. Sully, what's your favorite game for this week?
Well, as a Vikings fan, I'm not looking forward to my game this week. I think we're going to go 0-3 again, and that's totally fine. I agree with you that Rams offense and that even their defense, that team is just fun to watch. Yeah. They've kind of become my go-to. I watched them against Indianapolis last week and definitely want to see what happens in that Tampa Bay game. So yeah, I'm totally into that game.
Wasn't it Tampa Bay Rams that went like nuclear a couple years ago, or who was
it was with, or no, it was
wasn't it KC?
Kansas City. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Kansas City? I thought there was
that game was good too, though. I if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that was a Winston matchup that went nuclear when the Rams were humming with Jared Goff. All right, we got some people in the chat already. Craig says, Sully up early today.
Yeah, I usually don't get up this early unless there's a Europe game, but whatever. Let's go.
And then he follows it up with Shenault or Mooney for PPR, and we're gonna go ahead and start with our guest today, Sully. When it comes to Mooney and Shenault, which one you running out there?
Well, Mooney, as you advised me earlier before we went live, is somewhat questionable, so I think you got to keep your eye on that. But with Justin Fields starting for the Bears and Justin Fields throwing the ball downfield more so than Andy Dalton or any other quarterback in the limited amounts that he's been on the field, I really like what he's going to bring to this offense, and especially those two wide receivers in Chicago. Jacksonville, that offense is still a work in progress and kind of frightens me a little bit. So I'm on Mooney on this one.
Bryce, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's close, but I'm going Mooney as well. Shenault, his production's been pretty low, but he does see a decent amount of targets as maybe like a wide receiver 3 flex option. So I don't hate going him over Mooney, but I just like the upside with Justin Fields now, somebody with a big arm and the speed of Mooney. So I'm going to go with Mooney as well.
Yeah, and Mooney, he hasn't just been running downfield. He's been running a lot of different routes, and he has been targeted 7 and 8 times in the first 2 games. So they're trying to get him involved and to make some plays. So I like Mooney as well, but like Bryce said, I don't think these guys are far off right now.
No,
especially what we've seen. So it definitely makes sense that you would have this question of which one to start. But I go Mooney. I think he's more likely of the two right now to have that big play that could make the week in one shot, rather than needing to catch 7 of those 8 passes. So that's why I like him. Over on Facebook, Bryce, you got our Facebook up?
Yes, I do. This is our good friend Castile.
Castile. Nice. He says, good morning, fellas, and he's interested to see what Fields will do today. Listen, everybody that is familiar with our show knows that I'm a big Bears fan. I've been waiting for this day for since the draft, and I've been waiting for a quarterback like this to start for the Bears since I was born. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I am also I'm making sure my expectations don't get out of hand. We've seen the rookie struggles with Lawrence and Zach Wilson so far. So those are going to come. There's going to be the 3 interception games from Fields this year. And this is a tough matchup for his first start. I hope he just plays well enough that Nagy has no choice but to leave him in rather than putting Dalton back in when he's healthy. That's my biggest thing with Justin Fields. Do you have any thoughts there, Sully, as a Vikings fan?
I really like Justin Fields, and it sickens me how much I like components of the Bears because I am a Vikings fan. But what I really like about Justin Fields compared to Andy Dalton for this entire offense is he'll extend plays and he'll extend drives with his legs. And that in fantasy is gold. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do today against a pretty good defense. But yeah, I'm excited as well. Bryce, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as a somewhat of an OSU fan, I watched a lot of Justin Fields, and the only knock I had on him was maybe some decision making when he stood in the pocket, especially under pressure. So, I mean, when the guy gets out of the pocket, he's gold, and his rushing ability can be that of like that Lamar Jackson / Kyler Murray upside easily. So yeah, I just want to see him throw in the pocket. I think that after watching him, he's got really high football IQ, and he seems like he's coachable. So those are great qualities for being able to learn how to be more of a pocket QB. But I'm excited to see. I'll be definitely streaming that game here, on and off. So especially when the Bears are on offense. So I'm excited to see what he does as well, Castile.
Yeah, in full disclosure, I did try converting Sully this week because he's always complaining about his Vikings, and I said, you like Montgomery, you like A-Rob, you like Mooney, you like Justin Fields. Why don't you just come over and be a Bears fan? Just join us over here in Chicago. And he said that he couldn't do it, but I tried.
I jumped on the Clemson bandwagon this year, and look what I did to them.
Oh man,
yeah, stay away. Stay away. It is your fault. This is what happens when Canadians like American football.
Yeah.
Blame Canada.
Shouldn't even let us watch that.
Blame Canada. And Mike says, damn, he's watched Tags on Fantasy Pros for years, and Tags definitely great guy, great insight when it comes to fantasy football. It's definitely a sad story. Thomas says it's Sunday. Hella excited for football. I think I can speak for all 3 of us up here. We are with you on that one.
Yep.
Back to Facebook. Bryce, who we got here?
His name is Ryan, and the last name Zaboralski.
That's a good try either way. Sorry, Ryan, if that doesn't nail it.
Somewhere in that area.
He says Fields or Carr with 6-point passing touchdowns. Sully, what do you think here? What are you doing here?
I think the run game in Vegas is kind of iffy. Carr is on fire. I'm going to ride that out and go with him here. He's going to throw a ton. And at 6 points, I think that's the choice here.
Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point, Carr's kind of improved every single year through his career, it seems like. And he is starting off red hot this year. Justin Fields, he has that rushing upside, which is kind of hard to bench, but I'd like to see, a good game out of him before I'm putting over guys like, Carr in my lineup who have now consistently, been a top QB in fantasy, especially with 6-point passing touchdown the first couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm going Carr. This is the closest we've seen him to that MVP caliber quarterback before he broke his leg. And, with Ruggs stepping up, making moving up after year 1, Brian Edwards the same. And then you've got Renfro and Waller that are just steady producers in that offense. That passing game's just improving. He's got options, and I'm going there. And then with Fields, I just, you've seen the struggles. I think, after his first preseason game, he said, oh, this game was slow, and I think it sped up on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you know he's not looking as sharp, but that's part of the process. Fields will be a starter for you in the future, but I think right now I'm going Carr as well. And then another one over on Facebook says KJ Osborne, Corey Davis, or Zach Pascal. I need one. And I figured Davis was going to be another popular player this week because he was asked about a lot last week. But I still think he is the target hog in that offense. Probably going to command 30% of those targets until Crowder gets back. And then, you know, that may change a little bit, but I'm still starting Corey Davis here over those two. Bryce, what do you think about this trio?
Yes. So this is Castile again, and I'm agreeing with you, Rick. I know Corey Davis has kind of had that boomer bust play throughout his career, but I still think you nailed it on the head when you say he's just going to be a target hog. You know, last week against New England, the one thing they do, and I mentioned this last week, is they take away a team's best offensive weapon, and that was clearly Corey Davis after the first week. So it didn't surprise me to see him get shut out kind of in that week 2, and they kind of had to rely more on Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios. So I just think he's still going to see a lot of volume. So I'm going to go Corey Davis over those two. Sully?
Yeah, and just real quick to mention last week's game, I mean, Wilson did have like 3 interceptions by halftime and had 4 in that game too. So the whole offense was having issues in that one.
His first 2 throws were picks. So
it's always good.
Yeah,
do we know do we know if Jamison Crowder is going today?
I think he was also doubtful, right? He's out.
He's doubtful. No, he's doubtful, but it's very, I mean, it's like it's almost out, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I think
we'll keep an eye on that.
I definitely think this one's Corey Davis as well. And I have a decision to make in one league where I'm on the fence with him. So I get the question. Pascal's got really iffy quarterback play today. It could be one of 3 guys throwing him the football. So who knows what's going on there. Mm-hmm. And I watch the Vikings all the time, and KJ Osborne's a nice story, but he's the leading receiver on the Vikings right now. I can't see how that continues much longer. He might have some garbage time value today, but I think Corey Davis is the right player.
Yeah, I will say that I do like Osborne today if you don't have options like Corey Davis, because Minnesota's going to be throwing the ball a lot, especially with Dalvin Cook out. I expect that running game to not be as good, but yes, I'm with you. He's not going to lead that team in receiving, but I think he's going to be a viable option here throughout the year. Craig says, Rick is a Bears fan? What?
I know, right?
Breaking news here on the Boomer Bust show. Hollywood versus Detroit's defense, ? Or Tyler Boyd with no Higgins for the flex. I like both of these guys a lot. I'm probably going with Marquis Brown because of the upside, but Pittsburgh's defense does funnel everything underneath. They don't get beat deep. We've seen Renfro and Beasley just torch them PPR wise. So I do like both options, but I'm going with Brown for the upside. Sully, where are you going?
I'm going with Boyd, and I think that Pittsburgh, one thing they can still do on defense is get to the quarterback. So Burrow's going to get the ball out in a hurry. Without T. Higgins there, I think without a viable tight end, it just all sort of trickles down to Tyler Boyd. So I really like Tyler Boyd here, but I agree with you. I like both this week, but I would go Boyd over Hollywood Brown.
Bryce.
Yeah, I'm going to – it's hard to break this tie, but I'm probably going to go Boyd. But, Rick, to your point, Hollywood Brown is definitely the play if you're wanting upside. Absolutely. But Tyler Boyd may see 10-plus targets today with T. Higgins out, and I just don't know if I can steer away from that volume. So I'm gonna go Tyler Boyd.
It's hard
to sit anything against Detroit, though. I get that.
I can tell you my favorite stack for this week in DFS was Lamar and Brown, but that's also price.
Yeah.
Good morning, by the way. This is a full PPR question. With Dalvin set to play with a sprained ankle, would you guys start Chase Claypool now that Deontay Johnson had been ruled out? Thanks, guys. Mike, I actually think that we saw that Dalvin's unlikely to play, not set to play. So it looks like you might have both Claypool and
you only got one regardless, right?
Yeah, it looks like Claypool's going to be in there.
I think he was considering putting Claypool in, like he was going to put Dalvin at his flex spot and then maybe potentially start Claypool over him. I think is kind of what he's asking here, is what I'm assuming. Like he was like, that's what I'm thinking he was.
I
he
think
was
so
thinking
too. And I think that decision's been made for him.
Yeah, if we get some clarification, but right now it sounds like Dalvin's not going to play. Adam, the legendary editor of RotoHeat.com, says, "Morning, gents. How bullish are we on Rondale Moore? Ride the heat wave over some higher tiered options or wait and see if it continues?" Bryce, what are you doing with Rondale Moore a week after he had his explosion?
I'm still keeping him on my bench in most leagues. Luckily, in a lot of redraft formats, I was able to kind of grab him off the waiver wire this week. A lot of people, for some reason, he went unnoticed. But I'm still keeping him on my bench unless I have like terrible options in my flex spots, just to see, because when I play, I like to see consistency, and 1 week usually doesn't change my mind. But I could see starting him if you're really looking for ceiling plays, depending on your matchup this week. But overall, I'm keeping him on my bench. Sully?
I'm cautiously optimistic here. I think Hopkins being a game time decision has a lot to do with how I feel about Rondale Moore this week, but he's got a really good matchup against Jacksonville. And watching them play the Vikings last week, Moore doesn't necessarily have a high snap count, but when he is on the field, that ball is going to him, and he can do some crazy things with that ball in his hands. Now, his week was made by a 75-yard blown coverage touchdown, but he's still highly involved. So if you're playing in a league that rewards receptions, I think he needs to find a way to get on into your lineup this week.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic as well. I'm not going to start him over higher tiered options, right? We've seen the blow up weeks from Christian Kirk, and then, he disappears the next week. Yep. I do think they are going to make more of a concerted effort to get Rondale Moore the ball. But right now, it's 2 weeks. Week 3 is a big trap week in fantasy football. A lot of stuff that we see in the first 2 weeks, a lot of times does not show up in week 3 and just confuses everybody. But if they're higher tiered options, I'm going to go with them and just make sure that I've got myself a safe player before throwing Rondale Moore out there if I don't have to. If you don't have the options, then I think he's fine to put in there. I'm just not starting higher tiered guys over him at this point.
Gotcha. Good call.
Absolutely.
Q Gone Jin. I hope I said that right.
Tuesday night regular.
Tuesday night regular. Should I start Tyson, Damien Harris, or Pollard? Sully.
Tyson for me. Detroit's rush defense is god awful. Start everything against that defense on the ground.
Bryce.
Yeah, this is pretty easy for me. I mean, Damien Harris just has so limited. He gets a lot of touches, but they're all carries, so he's got very little PPR value. If this is a standard league, Damien Harris might be my choice. And Pollard, he just is super efficient on an okay amount of touches last week. I don't expect I think his ceiling is 15 touches a week. I think he sees more like 10 to 12 on a consistent basis. I'm going to go Tyson here as well. I think he just sees more touches, has way more touchdown upside.
I'm with you guys on Tyson. I think talking about Damien Harris, we were talking about this last night on the DFS stage in our Discord. I think he's got 36 carries, 169 yards, and he's got a total of 25 fantasy points in the first 2 weeks. And that's what scares me about playing Damien Harris. Solid floor, but doesn't really, has to really hit to get you that big ceiling game, 2 touchdowns and whatnot. So that's the tough part with him. Austin, and just so everybody knows, first off, we go straight down the list on the questions. You don't have to ask them more than once. We will get to them, I promise. And then also, if you haven't hit that like button, we'd love it if you did that. Let YouTube know that you're loving the show and to send it out to more people. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what you're doing. We're live Tuesday, Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Plus, we drop our vids. We started a new series with our tiered rankings. We're going to change that up a little bit going into next week. We've got our waiver wire video that comes out. It's one of the first ones out on YouTube with Sully and Brad Sunday nights. So make sure you hit that sub button, notification bell, so you don't miss any of that good stuff. But yeah, we go straight down the list on these questions, so we will get to them, we promise. Do I start Myles Gaskin or Sony Michelle? I'm going to make this one easy. It's Myles Gaskin because I'm not starting running backs against Tampa Bay if I don't have to. Bryce, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing. Sony Michel, I think, is capable of producing similar numbers to Darrell Henderson, but I wouldn't even start Darrell Henderson over Myles Gaskin against this defense. So it's Myles Gaskin pretty easily here for me as well. Sully?
Yeah, nothing to add other than I'm going to be really hard pressed to start a running back against that Tampa Bay defense. It's Gaskin for me easily.
Max Williams, Logan Thomas, and I'll throw Higbee in there also. What? I'm not sure what this is referring to.
Picking one of those?
I'm going Logan. I'm going Logan. Yeah, I'm going Logan Thomas if I'm picking one of these three. I know Higbee's a popular option this week, but I like Logan Thomas. Bryce, where are you going if you're picking one of those?
Yeah, this is by Castile again. I saw this earlier, and I think it's pretty easily Logan Thomas as well. I just like how he gets used. I could see you wanting Higbee in there for maybe ceiling play because that game could be a shootout. But I'm going to go Logan Thomas because I like a safe floor when it comes to my tight end position.
Yeah, I think Buffalo's linebackers and front seven in general are pretty solid. I'm going to go with Higbee here based on volume upside, but I can absolutely see why you would go with Logan Thomas, and I think either one of those two is viable for you this week. Max Williams shouldn't be considered, in my opinion.
Do It 420 says, good morning, guys. Would you go Tyson Williams, excuse me, or Jamar Chase in PPR? Sully, where are you going with that one?
Looks like it's half PPR. That gives Tyson a little bit of a lift for me.
Oh, half PPR. I did read that wrong.
I think in any format, though, again, I just can't pass up that opportunity. And I know Tyson's not going to dominate that backfield, but I think he's going to have a good 60-some-odd% of the touches. So I'll take Tyson here. I think Chase is going to be in for a little bit of a tough afternoon.
Bryce?
Yeah, I think Chase sees good volume today with T. Higgins being out, but I think Tyler Boyd benefits the most from that situation. I'm probably going Tyson Williams here as well, but it's pretty close for me.
Yeah, Tyson is definitely the safer play. And he has multi-touchdown upside this week, so I think I'm going with him as well. I love Chase, but we already talked about Pittsburgh. They do everything they can to not let you get behind them, which funnels everything underneath, which kind of limits the big play, which has been the reason why he's been so good the first 2 weeks. Pittsburgh doesn't blow coverages like Chicago does, if you see that touchdown he had last week. So I'm going Tyson. Yeah. I think there's a lot of carries in store and multi-touchdown upside there. And he's probably going to get you at least, 8 to 10 points at minimum. So that's pretty nice. Back to Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Full PPR, Gaskin, Laviska, or DeMarcus Robinson. I can tell you DeMarcus is out for me. And then I think I still, I go floor here and pick up the floor that Gaskins gives you. He doesn't give you the touches that you were hoping for yet. But I think he's also showing that he is clearly the best back out of that backfield. And with Tua out, they may rely on that a little bit more. So I'm going Gaskin here. Bryce, where you go?
Yeah, so this is from Nate Martin. He's also pretty regular here on Sunday mornings. I'm agreeing here as well. It's pretty close again for me. I do like Laviska and the volume he gets, but that off his touchdown upside is so limited because the Jaguars just are struggling to score, and if they do, it seems like it's Marvin Jones Jr. every time. So I'm going to go with Gaskins again because of the safer floor.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gaskins also gives you that reception out of the backfield upside, and I don't know how much Jacoby is. Oh, hello, dog. I don't know how much Jacoby's going to throw the football, but Gaskins might play. And now I'm going to go on mute for a sec.
I feel like the dog hates our take.
Yeah,
we should switch. Nate, maybe you should listen to the dog.
It's not our take.
Anthony says, if Dalvin Cook is out, is Alexander Madison a RB2 with RB1 upside versus Seattle? I would say that, he's probably pretty close to that. I'm not a big Madison fan. He's not Cook, but That game could have a lot of scoring, which means he could get multiple. I'll say it multiple times, multiple touchdown upside. So I think he's definitely somebody that you throw in your lineup. Sully, you're the Minnesota fan. What are you thinking?
I think he's an RB3 with RB2 upside is what I think Madison is without Dalvin. I think that, they activated Amir Abdullah off of the practice roster. He's going to be involved. They're going to throw the ball more often than not. Madison will get involved, but I temper my expectations on him. I was all in on him last year when he had the opportunity. He fell flat on his face. So we'll see what he can do when the lights come on. But I don't see RB1 upside unless he falls in the end zone twice.
Bryce.
Yeah, I agree with Sully when I say running back 3 with RB2 upside. Again, last year when given the opportunities, he kind of disappointed a lot of people that were hoping for him. But if you had Dalvin Cook, you're probably kind of forced to put in Alexander Madison into your lineup, which it could be worse. But yeah, I don't see the running back 1 upside. It's more probably RB2's his ceiling, in my opinion.
Yeah, I only say that just because of the amount of scoring that there could be in this game, and any starting he's going to get most of the work at running back, and that leads to the potential for multi-touchdown. But I don't.
He needs to be.
I'm not predicting he's an RB1, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Half the Pitt defense seems to be out with pulled groins, says Craig. So maybe that does help. That Cincinnati offense. Daniel Jones or Matt Stafford? Oof. Sully.
That's a good one. I'm going to lean on Stafford. I just love what I've seen so far, and I think he's going to throw the ball. He might throw the ball 60 times today. Bryce, what you?
Man, I've got so much Daniel Jones today in DraftKings. It's hard to say Stafford. I think I'm going to lean Daniel Jones. I mean, he's playing against Atlanta today, and I just can't steer away from that upside. I mean, we've seen what Tampa Bay can do when they play in big games against really good offenses. Like we look at the Super Bowl last year, and they haven't really lost anybody. I wouldn't be surprised today if that game ended up being low scoring just because of how hard those teams are going to play each other. I just think Daniel Jones has such a good safe floor with his rushing upside, and his ceiling is higher than Stafford's, in my opinion.
This is still Daniel Jones that we're talking about, and it's still Matt Stafford, who has one of the biggest arms in the NFL. Tampa Bay, super tough against the run, but they do give up passing yards and passing touchdowns. I'm going Matt Stafford here fairly easily. I do think Daniel Jones has looked good. What?
Breaking news, $5 bet.
$5 bet.
$5 bet, Stafford over, yes.
Standard PPR? All right.
Well, yeah, I don't see either of them catching a lot of passes, though.
You never know.
4-point touchdowns, passes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just do it like how it is in the Grand Prix.
Okay. Yeah. Yep, there's the bet. That's pretty easy one for me. Stafford.
Rick's looking to get off the schneid, You're 0-2 to start.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Waddle. I was going to find Waddle again today, but
just keep betting on Waddle, brother.
We can do a second one because I've got one for you today.
Okay, all right. We'll see.
Waddle or Mike Davis? This is not it. This is not it.
Yeah, I'll go Waddle.
Mike Davis is not the guy I'm putting my money on, though. I do think this is a good situation, a good game script for Mike Davis this week. He's still getting 66% of the or 65-ish% of the snap share. People are a little higher on Patterson than they should be, though. I do think Patterson is a guy that may end up with flex appeal week to week just because of how they want to utilize him. But I'm going Mike Davis here for the floor and Waddle for the upside. Sully, where are you at?
I'm going to go Mike Davis here. I think Waddle and the Dolphins offense are going to be in real tough with Jacoby under center. He's just not a very good quarterback. And Mike Davis, although he's been sharing with Cordarrelle Patterson, he's been rather heavily involved in their passing game. And I see that continuing as well today. So I'm going to go with Mike Davis here rather comfortably. Bryce?
I'm kind of going to agree with what Rick said when I want to go with a safe floor when I go with Mike Davis. But I'm probably going to go Waddle if I'm any sort of skeptical of my matchup this week. I know Jacoby Brissett is not a great quarterback, but if anything, he's going to look at those under routes, crossing routes, things like that. And I think Waddle kind of is going to be that guy that runs like those short routes that he may get peppered today. So I'm just going to overall go with Waddle, but Mike Davis is a safe 4 play.
Let's not forget that there is a wide receiver coming back to the Dolphins today that has not been there thus far, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good when he's on the field.
Very good.
And so right now, Will Fuller's healthy. Between now and game time, who knows?
Yeah, he might get hurt in the first play.
But
keep forgetting about Will Fuller.
Well, he missed half of last season because of
stuff,
human growth hormones or whatever it was.
Yeah.
PEDs, whatevs, but he is back this week, so that is something else to monitor when you talk about those Dolphins.
Fair.
What do you guys think of Tim Patrick this week? Sully, why don't you start us off with Tim Patrick?
I think he's a starting wide receiver. He's probably in that top 36 with his touchdown upside. I think he's scored a touchdown in 6 of the last 8 games for Denver, something ridiculous like that. With the unfortunate injury to Jerry Jeudy, it's got Tim Patrick in 3 wide receiver sets, and Teddy's looked good and seems to like Patrick. So I like a lot of things in that Broncos offense, and Tim Patrick is one of them. Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, Tim Patrick steps up every time an injury happens. I feel like in that wide receiver group, and there's a lot of injuries with Sutton last year and Jerry Jeudy this year, and he comes in and he produces. I like him. I mean, it just depends on who do I like him more than and who do I like him less than. But overall, I feel comfortable putting him in my like flex spots and leagues. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I echo everything that you guys said. I think that Tim Patrick, he's proven it whenever he's got the opportunity. And
he does not like your opinion.
The dogs do not agree with us. They do not agree with us. But yes, I'm fine with him. But like Bryce said, it depends on what my other options are, right? It depends on who he would be starting over and whatnot. We do have a super chat here from Slim74, and he wants to know if Kenny Stills is still the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans. I think Kenny Stills could be the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans right now if they brought him back, because right now the Marquez Callaway hype that we saw 3 weeks ago is virtually gone. We're not seeing all the people super stoked about throwing him in there. And they need Michael Thomas to get back really quick because they do need help in that wide receiver group. So Sully, is Kenny Stills still the wide receiver 1?
I think the answer is yes. It's disgusting, but I think the answer is yes.
Bryce.
I would almost want to say that Alvin Kamara is their wide receiver 1 and their running back 1. I mean, we saw last week of just how important Michael Thomas is in that offense. I think we're going to see it again this week when it comes to going against the tough New England secondary. I think they got to funnel that whole offense through Alvin Kamara today. So, I haven't even paid attention to the wide receiver situation in New Orleans because it just doesn't have any appeal to me. But it wouldn't surprise me if he's their best talent with Michael Thomas out.
Oh. Well, first off, Slim, I want to say thank you for the super chat. It's really appreciated. And the support is loved by the Roto Heat team, but he just said they called him up today.
They did.
I did not know that.
They activated him off the practice roster yesterday.
Okay, so yes.
I think he is, right?
I was saying yes before I knew he was on the team. Now that I know he's on the team, I think the answer is definitely yes. But I do agree with what Bryce was saying, that Alvin Kamara is the funnel for this offense completely.
Who did they play this week?
New England.
That being said, I don't know.
So New England takes Kamara away then, is that?
I don't know. They struggle taking away running backs. That's the only thing. Like, they can take away a wide receiver, whether it's a slot or anybody like that, but they just don't have the speed at linebacker to be able to shut down, and the run stuff defense to shut down a running back overall.
They might eat Jameis alive today.
Yeah,
I'm hoping. Well, I mean, obviously, I hope so.
Not fair.
Kamara is the only player that I'm comfortable starting.
Oh yeah.
In New Orleans right now. So Slim, we appreciate it. Very grateful for that. Sully, by the way, guys, if you do put in a super chat, you do get moved to the top of the list. I mean, money talks. We all know that. Craig says we have 2 waiver wire videos We do. I'm an asshole for not mentioning that. We have an offensive and an IDP waiver wire video. Look for those Sunday night and Monday.
Craig's a
and
legend.
You can find Craig when it comes to IDP, definitely. Craig with all fantasy, but IDP for us, like he's the guy.
Yes.
DM Fresh 91 says, do I start Julio Jones, Tyson Williams, or Trey Sermon? Julio Jones for me. Bryce, what do you think about that one?
Oh yeah, pretty easily here. I mean, as soon as I read his name, after last week, he's looking like, Julio again. His floor and his ceiling are just higher than all these guys, in my opinion. I mean, I like Tyson Williams and I like Sermon this week. I think like they each see, like Williams has a lot of touchdown upside. I think Sermon sees a lot of volume today, but I think Julio has both of those things. So I'm going to go him over both of them. Sully?
I want to say Williams again, but I'm going to lean to Julio. Watched a lot of that Colts game last week, and their secondary is not what I thought it was. I think Xavier Rhodes has been out for the first 2 weeks. He might be out again this week, and he's not that great at this stage of his career anyway. I don't want anything to do with Sermon this week, and he probably does get a lot of volume, and he probably does see the field a bunch, but I need to see something from him first. But with Ferkser out, with Tannehill looking a little bit better, and A.J. Brown, although I'm not concerned at all, seem to be struggling a little bit, I think Julio's the right decision here.
Mike says, I was planning on placing Claypool in the flex over Dalvin since he's doubtful, but hasn't been ruled out yet. So, yes, that makes sense, 100%. And then he says, I also have Sterling Shepard and Miles Sanders I could play over Chase Claypool. So, I think for me, this comes down to floor versus ceiling again. I think Claypool has a huge ceiling in a game with Deontay Johnson out. And then you get a pretty solid floor with Sterling Shepard right now. And he probably actually has ceiling too with, I might go Sterling Shepard here. I'm just talking myself right into it. Sully, what do you think about that trio?
Sterling Shepard for me, I think he's both the safer play and probably the upside play. I think that Daniel Jones against Atlanta throwing the football, Sterling Shepard over the middle against that lackluster defense, I think that's got a big, big game written all over it. So I would definitely have him in my lineup for sure.
Bryce.
I'm going to stick with Claypool. I just like with Johnson out, I think, I think Claypool and Juju both benefit from that. I think he kind of splits those targets 50-50. So, and his upside, like you said, I mean, we've seen his upside. It's sky high. So I think his floor here is even higher with Deontay Johnson out, and his ceiling is pretty much the same. But I can't blame you for going Sterling Shepard over him, but I'm going to go Claypool. So
here's my question: with Evan Engram looking like he's coming back this week, does that worry you guys any for the volume that Sterling Shepard's got? Because I mean, it does me, because I think Evan Engram is the type of player we obviously seen the drop issues last year, but still, even through all of that, they still made it a focus to get him involved in that offense. And if we think it's the Saquon breakout week, how does all this play out? Does that worry you for Shepard, Sully?
I think that's a really good point and a great question. I still think that Shepard is probably where Daniel Jones looks first if he needs to get rid of the football. Atlanta doesn't have much of a pass rush. They're much of a defense. So I think that it's almost start everybody today for New York. The only person I'm a little concerned about is Engram, because I don't know how healthy he is. I don't know how much they're going to ease him back in with Kyle Rudolph can still play a lot of snaps and provide you some protection for Saquon in addition to that offensive line. So I think it's a really good question. The other thing with Claypool is if he doesn't score, he kills you in fantasy. And he did that in his rookie season, and he's done it so far this season. If he doesn't score, he's finishing on average in the wide receiver 90 range. So he's the upside boom play for sure, but Sterling's just safer for me and gives me enough upside so that I'm going to stick with him.
Bryce, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I just have a prediction. I just have a feeling that Kenny Golladay is going to get more involved today. He was extremely unhappy last week with his role. And I think when you get a star player like that comes to an organization, they're going to find a way to get him more involved. And I think that cuts into Sterling Shepard's touches. And when Evan Engram is on the field, I think that has the potential to do it as well. Evan Engram is just disappointed too many times for me to feel comfortable starting him at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sterling Shepard sees his worst week this week. It's kind of just a little prediction I have personally.
All right. Next question up is JML Sports over on YouTube. Says Juju or Pittman. And as much as I love Pittman with that whole quarterback issue going on in Indy and with Deontay Johnson out, Juju's already still like getting targets. So that only gets better today. I'm going Juju. I'm firing Juju up everywhere I've got him. Sully, Bryce, do you guys agree with that, or does somebody have a differing opinion on that one?
I agree completely.
Juju all day.
Juju. Matt Stafford or Daniel Jones? We've already answered this one. I went Stafford. I don't remember what you guys went.
I went Daniel Jones. That was our bet. So
$5 bet. I'm still on Matthew Stafford here.
So we had 2 Staffords to 1 Daniel Jones.
Maybe I'll pick Jones on this one, so I'm right.
Yeah, you're 50-50 for sure.
Yeah.
I can't switch. I've already locked myself into a bet, right?
I'm concerned because I think what we've seen with Jones and what he's doing with his legs, and they're actually scripting that into their offense, so that gives him a bit of a boost. But I'm sticking with Matt Stafford.
Lost my spot here. We have another Pittman question. This time it's him versus Tyler Boyd in half PPR, and I'm going Tyler Boyd here myself. Sully,
easy for me. Yes.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd.
Yes,
Pittman's
Tyler
got that
Boyd.
Such a juicy matchup, but Tyler Boyd.
But a quarterback with 2 bum ankles, 2 backup quarterbacks that we don't know who's going to play when, where, how.
Exactly.
What a situation. YBS over on YouTube says 2 QB league. Which 2 should I start out of Wentz, Jameis, and Heineke? Oof. This is tough. Bryce, I'm gonna let you answer first because I don't know if I'm gonna like my answer.
I don't want any part of the Colts today. It's so weird of what they've been saying about what's going to go on this game. It's almost like they're going to play Wentz for a couple of drives and see how he feels. So I'm going to go with the guys I know and barring injury are going to play the entire game. I'm going to go with Jameis and Heineke. Jameis has a horrible matchup. I think that's interesting to note this week for him, but I'm just going to go with the guys that I think I know they're going to play all 4 quarters. So
yeah, what are you going to do? I don't think you can argue that. I think you have to just hold your nose and plug Jameis and Heineke into your lineup. Too bad it's not a super flex league, because if it was, I would try to find a way to get one of those guys out of my lineup.
Right.
But in a 2 QB league, you can't start Carson Wentz. He might play 1 down and be done. Like, he can't walk. He has no ankles. I don't know how you play quarterback in the NFL with no ankles. So Winston and Heineke, and hope for the best.
I'm on board with both of you. I'm comfortable starting Heineke. That one, that one doesn't scare me at all. Because he's got some rushing upside. We don't see that really often with Jameis. It's just heave ho and hope your team catches the ball. And one week it might be 5 touchdowns, and the next week it might be 0 with 2 interceptions.
Right.
This week it might be 3 to get him even so he can get back on pace for 30-30. We don't know. So yeah, I am starting Jameis this week in that equation, but I'm not loving it. But Heineke I'm fine with. Pittman, Corey Davis, Laviska Shenault, or start one. This is Jace Thomas over on YouTube. This one is pretty easy for me, but Sully, it sounded like you were having a little bit of an issue.
I'm worried about Corey Davis. I really am. Like, Braxton Berrios is out targeting him right now, and I think that if you watched any of that game, the Patriots totally took him away. So that's how defenses will probably play him. I'm worried about Laviska because I just don't think that offense is very good and he's being used properly. Pittman would be my choice if his quarterback had feet. But I think I'll go Corey Davis here and just hope for the best.
Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. If I knew he was playing the whole game, I think I would lean Pittman. It's still close. I'm going to go with Corey Davis. Just, again, all these guys see great volume, and all are on offenses that might struggle to score today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the guy that I think just sees more yards and just maybe has a little bit more targets than Corey Davis.
Yeah, I'm never worried about somebody. As Bryce said, the Patriots will just eliminate somebody from a game, and that never worries me. If we see it again this week, then I'll have issues. But I think Zach Wilson goes right back to him like he did in week 1. Not that he's going to put up 25, but I feel like the targets, the opportunity is going to be there in that. But yes, these offenses are not ones that I want a lot of this week. That was an answer to a question probably long before that I don't remember.
Yeah.
That was adding on to a question from long before that I don't remember.
No, that was actually
this one?
That's
Is that for this one?
No, this was after.
Oh, okay.
No, the half PPR is for this question. That last one was for this question. It's on Facebook. He posted them like back to back. Half PPR, pick 2 out of these 4.
Oh, so okay, so it's just in the wrong order on mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So Miles Sanders, Damien Harris, Devin Singletary, Jamal Williams. We're picking 2.5 PPR. I think Miles Sanders is in there just right off the bat.
Yeah.
And since it's half PPR, I have a hard time between Harris and Jamal Williams. I know we talked about Harris. He's got that steady floor. So if you really need that, I think Jamal Williams' upside is better. Just because of the amount of receptions we could see him get, like we did in week 1. So I think I go Harris if I need floor, if I just want a safe play, and Jamal Williams if I want a ceiling. Bryce, what are you thinking about these 4?
This is from Joe Lindsay. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm Sanders, and then floor is Damien Harris, and then my ceiling is Jamal Williams. Exactly what I was going to say.
Miles Sanders for sure, and I'm just going to go against both of you because that's fun. I think Devin Singletary is the play. He's being used a lot in that offense, and I like the way they're using him. Harris, we've talked about it earlier. He's giving you all rushing and nothing else. Williams, I'm not too sure what happens there, but if I knew what was happening with DeAndre Swift, that would make my decision a little bit easier. So if Swift by any chance doesn't play, it's Williams easily, but I'm going to go with Sanders and Singletary based on this information.
We don't get anywhere by going with the grain. Right, Sully?
I don't know. I just do what I'm told, so maybe I don't understand that question.
No, I'm saying it's good to have. It's good to have opposition and other views for.
I'm wrestling with a Singletary or Corey Davis decision in one league, and I'm still not sure where I'm going with that one.
I can't get on Singletary yet.
Corey Davis.
Fair. Thank you. Good. Done. Thanks, Bryce.
You're welcome.
I think that's the way I have it right now anyway.
Okay. Matthew Seaver says pick 1 as an RB2. David Montgomery, Tyson Williams, Alexander Madison. Sully, I know you like a couple of these guys and the other one plays for your team. How you doing this?
I like all 3. I don't see a scenario where I'm sitting David Montgomery ever. So it's him easily for me here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sitting David Montgomery. I like him as a running back 1 in some of my leagues. So yeah, David Montgomery.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. We are in unison.
Another Chicago Bear I like. Ridiculous.
It's fun to watch.
Don't forget, before last week, Montgomery had scored at least 18 fantasy points, PPR points, in 7 of his last 8 games. So now he's at 7 of 9. Don't worry too much about last week. He's highly involved, and probably more so with Justin Fields getting his start. Matt Brown asking PPR, Antonio Gibson or Robert Woods? And this one's a good one, I think. Sully, where are you going with this?
I'm going to go with Gibson just because I think he's going to have a higher floor of touches than Robert Woods. Woods could easily take the top off or take one of his jet sweeps for some decent yardage in this one. He hasn't been as used as Cooper Kupp has in that offense, and I think they need to get Gibson going in that offense. So it's going to be Antonio Gibson for me here.
Bryce?
Yeah, I'm going to Antonio Gibson as well, but I think everything Sully said is important to note. I mean, at 2 weeks in a row, Cooper Kupp has outproduced and has been their obvious wide receiver 1 there. He's going to start demanding more attention from those defenses, and that's going to open up the door for Robert Woods, who in the past with Jared Goff was arguably the number 1 guy that defenses focused. So his ceiling play is sky high today in that potential shootout. But I'm going to go Antonio Gibson with the floor, and he still has so much PPR value.
Correct.
This is the one where I might be the one going against the grain. So much of Antonio Gibson's production so far in his career is in like 2 games. And we seen last week against a good run defense what can happen with him. We see that in 2-minute drills, it's not him on the field, and in catch up time, it's not him on the field. And I think that they're going to, at some point, Robert Woods is going to get more incorporated in this offense, and people are going to have to pay more attention to Cooper Kupp. So I'm going Robert Woods here, but it is close. It is, Gibson does give you a better floor. He is going to get the majority of the carries, but are we going to see more usage in the passing game? I'm not convinced that we are. I just think J.D. McKissic is really good in that role. Yeah. So it's tough. But I'm going Robert Woods. I think there is a pretty nice ceiling in that game as well. So
could go either way. I agree.
JML Sports wants to know, is Kenny still worth a stash in a 16-team league? Are you stashing him in a 16-team league, Sully?
Absolutely. Why not? You should see some of the things I'd have on my bench in a 16-team league. We talked about him having the chance to be the top wide receiver in New Orleans, and that's legit. So, yeah, I think he's absolutely worth rostering.
Yeah, I can actually say I'm not in any 16-team leagues, so I don't know what the bench spots look like. But I could imagine just even some of my 12-man leagues, Kenny Stills are probably pretty close to some of the people that I have on my bench in some of those leagues. So, yeah, why not?
Exactly.
I'm looking for a better option. Right. Because I know that when Michael Thomas comes back, like Kenny Stills then means nothing. When Traquan Smith comes back, Kenny Stills means nothing. So if I can get somebody that I feel more comfortable starting and holding a roster spot, like I don't want somebody that is going to be wasted, that I'm not going to start and that I know I'm not going to use in the future. Right. So if I can get somebody else in that spot, I'm going to do that instead. But I don't feel like I'm going to feel comfortable throwing Kenny Stills into my lineup. Maybe that changes. Maybe he goes for 2 touchdowns today and has 12 targets, and that changes it. But at this point, no. I missed a super chat from Kyle. He says PPR, CEH, Tyson, Sutton, Devonta. We're starting 2 of these. Bryce, which 2 are you starting?
I'm going with Tyson and Sutton here. I think Sutton is now, he just got a full workload. Last week, he looked a little bit beat up, but I was reading that he is projected to be full go today. CEH, at this point, in my opinion, he's just looking like he's going to be a bust. He's just a kind of a footnote in the high weapons in that offense. I do like Devonta Smith, but I just think Tyson's got such a great floor and ceiling, and Sutton's ceiling is higher than Devonta for me.
Sully.
I want to say both the wide receivers because I think they're both fixtures in their offense and both have really good matchups. But I'm going to go and agree with Bryce. I'm going to take Sutton and Tyson here just to be a little safer.
This is a clean sweep. I think you get enough ceiling with Sutton that you can take the floor with Tyson and be happy. And then YBS, he said thanks and dropped us a donation. So we appreciate that. And like we said, we will get to all these questions. I got to find my spot where I was in the list. Boom, found it. Miles G got bars. How about making a Roto Heat rap song? That'd be awesome. Full PPR, Mike Davis or Tony Pollard for RB2. Opponent has Zeke. I'm going Mike Davis here. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. Mike Davis. The Giants, I mean, it's interesting to note that the Giants' run defense is probably the strength of their defense, but Mike Davis gets involved in all aspects and he gets a lot of touches. I think he's just due for a solid week, and he's going to see the more touches than Tony Pollard. So, yeah, Mike Davis. Sully?
Their run defense is good, but they're not good against receiving running backs. We saw what J.D. McKissic just did to them. I think Mike Davis's role in that offense is going to evolve more into their receiving running back. So I'll take Mike Davis here regardless, and I don't concern myself with my opponent in a situation like this. So whether he has Zeke or he doesn't, I'm going to put the guy in my lineup that I think is going to score the most fantasy points, so I beat him regardless of who he starts.
Wooga Luga says,
Nice name.
Michelle, Gaskin, Sermon, Allaire. Choose 2 non-PPR. Sully, have at it.
I might go Gaskin Sermon here. And I didn't think I was going to find a place to start Sermon this week, but I think that's the play here. CEH scares me, and I don't want to start it back against the Bucks. So it's Gaskin and Sermon for me.
Yeah, this is actually pretty easy for me. I'm going Gaskin and Sermon here. I like Sony Michel. I think he can end up taking over a majority of the workload in that backfield. And I'm yet to be on that CEH train, and I'm glad I never got on it. So Gaskin and Sermon's pretty easy for me. So Rick.
Allaire's the first one I'm putting in my lineup out of these 4, and there's one big reason. He's still getting 15 touches, and he's still on an offense that is projected to score 30-plus points today, which always leaves 2 touchdown upside. He's getting about the same amount of touches as Myles Gaskin, and Myles Gaskin is in an offense that we're all worried about, especially with Jacoby Brissett at the helm at quarterback. So Allaire is my first in, and then I'm probably going with Sermon as the only healthy back that we, other than guys that were signed off the street in San Francisco. So I'm going with those 2. I do think that Gaskin is in the conversation. I'm just not starting running backs against Tampa Bay, so Michelle is out. Matthew Seaver says, I have Sutton in the flex also. Should I replace him with a running back? Sutton's fine.
Yep.
I don't remember which exact question that was.
That was the Sutton question where Devonta was an option and the 2.
No.
Right?
Okay, yeah,
No,
Montgomery. He had Montgomery, Tyson Williams, and Alexander Madison. Now he's telling us he has Sutton in the flex. Should he play? We told him to play Montgomery. Should he play Tyson Williams or Alexander Madison over Sutton?
I think I'd put Tyson in there over Sutton.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, you could chalk it up to floor and ceiling again. I just am typically a guy that likes to play floor, so I'm probably throwing in Tyson. I'm in a lot of leagues where I feel like my team can compete. If I'm, usually if I'm competing, I'm throwing in the floor guy, and even if I'm not competing, I throw in the floor guy because then I hope the boom guy doesn't bust, and I want to I'm trying to tank or whatever. So I'm usually playing floor.
I'll go with Williams. In a vacuum, I tend to lean towards the running back, just the consistency and the safety of it. So yeah, I would do that as well.
I'm the opposite. I'm going Sutton because I think he's got a pretty solid floor now that we see that he's going to have the full workload and he's got the very large ceiling. So that's where I'm going. But it was 2-1. Charlie Zigman says in PPR, Visca, Corey Davis, Fuller, Rondell Moore, Edmonds, and D. Smith need some pretty good games with CMC injury. Pick 2. Visca, Corey Davis, Will Fuller, Rondell Moore, Chase Edmonds, and Devonta Smith. We need 2. Either of you got your 2 yet?
I do. It's Chase Edmonds and Devonta Smith for me. Those are the
Bryce.
upside plays, I believe.
It's Corey Davis is in for me. Just don't. Chase Edmonds is just in a split backfield with he's a good floor play. I think he's got 10 points in his first 2 games, but I think Devonta Smith has that similar floor with a higher ceiling. So I'm probably going Corey Davis and Devonta Smith here. I'm
agreeing with Bryce. If I'm playing one of the Arizona guys, I'm playing Rondell Moore because I feel like he does have a 7 to 8 point floor with the way they utilize him, with a obviously humongous upside. But
I'm just looking at what
he does have CMC, so he got nothing out of him. So I guess you could put in Rondell for that potential boom play. So I'll change mine to Corey Davis and Rondell Moore.
I think after seeing what running backs have done against Jacksonville, I'm sticking with Chase Edmonds. I think he has the opportunity to score a couple of times, and Smith against the Cowboys, I want that all day. So it's pure upside because of the CMC. Normally, I would have Corey Davis with someone in here.
Actually, that kind of changes it for me. Thinking about the CMC injury and how you do have to make up the points that you missed out there. I personally might go Rondell Moore and Devonta Smith for the pure upside of what they give you.
So you got 2 Moores and 2 Smiths, so that would probably be your.
And
your
Hopkins is officially active. If that changes your answer in any way,
they just run so many freaking plays.
Yeah,
Carson Wentz is officially active as well.
Okay, I'll change those banners in just a second. Brad says that's a good looking crew.
Brad's right.
Thank you, Brad.
Nailed it. That's the first one he's got right all week.
I'm surprised he's in here. He's usually pretty busy this time of day.
I haven't heard from him all weekend.
Yeah, he's on holidays again, probably.
Yeah, too many vacations.
Doing a festival yesterday.
I had to go do do what?
He was at a festival. He put it on Facebook. I saw he was at like some sort of
really?
like festival.
I was wondering why I had to go through and answer all the YouTube questions. Now I know. Little fun one today. I'm starting Cordarrelle Patterson at wide receiver due to Deontay's injury cries. There's worse options. I mean,
I'd love to know what your options are, but yes, there are worse.
Yeah, I don't even hate it. Like if I had to start him at flex or something, I wouldn't feel too hateful, especially since he's a running back that's still a wide receiver on a lot of platforms.
Yadvir Pada, I think. I don't know. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. Says Chase or Chenault. If this is Jamar Chase or Chase Claypool, I'm going them. If it's Chase Edmonds, I'm going Chase Edmonds too. So all the Chases I've got in. Sully, what about you?
Yeah, regardless of which Chase it is, it's Chase.
I'm assuming it's Jamar because he used both last names here. But
I'm assuming too, but
pretty easily Jamar Chase for me.
I just wanted to make sure we covered all bases there.
Yeah, all our Chases.
Josh Schemmel says Madison or Carson. This is Chris Carson for me fairly easily. What do you think, Bryce?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Carson he used to worry us of only being like a kind of a Damien Harris type of back where he only, runs the ball, but he's been catching it lately. He's in an offense that scores. Chris Carson's a guy I feel comfortable putting in my lineup every week.
Carson's a top 10 running back this week.
Absolutely. I love it. Quick reminder to like that video. We got about a half hour left. So if you want your question answered, make sure to drop it in the chat. We do go in order unless somebody drops the super chat bomb in there. And then, Money Talks, we move them to the top of the list. But we will get to your questions. Just please be patient as we go first come, first serve. Option Printing says full PPR. Flex, James White, Fournette, or Myers? Bryce.
James White pretty easily for me. I've talked about on the Wednesday show that James White is a guy I'm buying in a lot of redraft leagues just because of his upside. When it comes to that offense, struggles to score. Games are always close. And when they need to throw the ball, he is definitely on the field. So I think his floor is higher than all these guys, and so is his ceiling. Sully?
Yeah, easy James White for me. 6 catches in 2 straight games. Looks like James White has the same type of relationship with Mac Jones that he did with Tom Brady with that style of quarterback. So 100% James White for me. I know Fournette's getting the start today, but the Rams defense is scary, and Myers was just too inconsistent. So White for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Fournette he does have a solid floor. He's, putting up 10 points per week. But the ceiling a little bit limited there with Tom Brady throwing 8,000 touchdown passes rather than them running any in. James White with the receptions right now is the answer. Myers has been getting a lot of action. It's just not turning into anything thus far. So he is somebody to keep an eye on as a potential play for future weeks. Slim is back with another super chat. This is, I don't like to play favorites, like a parent, you don't want to tell their kids who's their favorite, but
Slim's my favorite.
Three super chats in one day. Slim's moving to the top of my list. Just want to give a shout out to all the solid wide receiver 3 sitting on wires. AJ Green, solid target rate, and the TD is Paris Dunn. I assume he's talking about Paris Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Slim, I might need you to just clarify what you're asking about Paris. I don't know if that got sent in too early. I never was a Paris Campbell fan, if that's what you're asking. I think that he would have been better off if all of them would have been better off if Andrew Luck didn't retire.
Right.
But I think that was, one thing that he needed. I don't know that Carson Wentz is going to help revive the Paris hype, but AJ Green, definitely not the AJ Green of the past, but he's seen 6 targets, I think, in both games. And with Hopkins banged up, could be more heavily utilized in the red zone. So I do think there is some potential for AJ Green to have a decent week for sure. Slim for the 4th one. Definitely my favorite, giving him a ribbon and showing him off at the fair. Or her, I should say. Is Paris Campbell officially over? Support these fellas. He's been on my dynasty bench forever. I wouldn't say that he's over. I want to see more. Hopefully we do see a healthy Carson Wentz, or we see them move to another quarterback that we're going to see more often to give us a good idea. But I mean, I'm a Michael Pittman guy. And I think Zach Pascal for 3 years now has every opportunity that he's gotten, he's come through. So I think it is tough for him to make his stake his claim as the guy in Indianapolis. Bryce, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, once T.Y. Hilton comes back, if he does, Paris Campbell might just not see the field very much with how well Pascal's been doing, and then Michael Pittman Jr. I agree with you, Rick. I liked Paris Campbell as an athlete, but I don't as a fantasy asset. I just think he's, almost pretty useless. So I think he's done, but I would still hold on to him unless I saw something better out there. Sully?
It's really hard to say. It's not like he's trying to get back into a lineup full of monster producing wide receivers. Michael Pittman would be the best wide receiver, in my opinion, on that team. That team also has aging and inconsistent tight end play. So if Paris Campbell can get back on the field and stay on the field with Carson Wentz, I do think he can be effective running out of the slot. But we've seen this guy, he just can't stay healthy. Whatever the reason is, he can't be on the football field. So he's been on your dynasty bench forever. Leave him on your dynasty bench for a little while longer and see what happens. Is he done? Probably, but you never know. If he freaking gets healthy, he actually could be a wide receiver 3, but no one's good if they don't play.
Mecky the Goat says, is Marquis Brown playing? Have we got,
I'm looking, I haven't seen. Yeah.
If you guys shoot me a Discord message with, if you see any that are obvious, and I'll get those added to our banner. So we'll get that answer for you, Mecky, and we'll throw it into the banner. James Martin says, Derrick Carr or Justin Herbert?
Oof.
This one's pretty easy.
That would be a question.
I'll go first. Herbert. I do like Carr and how he's looked, but Herbert has also had, I think, 5 touchdowns called back in the first 2 weeks, 3 of them in week 2.
Holy cow.
Yeah. One of them, I know Jared Cook has at least one. Parham has like a 60-yarder called back. And I think Mike Williams has 2 and Keenan Allen has 1. That the touchdowns are coming. We're talking about a game versus Kansas City where I believe he had at least 2 touchdowns and over 300 yards in both of the games last year against them. He's had 300 yards in both of the first 2 games this year. Derek Carr has looked good, but I'm still on the Herbert train with this one. Sully, I see you nodding. Are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, I'm taking Justin Herbert because A, he's a better quarterback. B, I like the matchup. Kansas City has some major components missing on defense this week in their front 4. Mike Williams looks good. Keenan Allen's unreal. Austin Eckler is going to get going. I think it's Justin Herbert easily, and Justin Herbert and the Chargers win that game as well, by the way, today.
Wow. So the Kansas City starts off 1-2.
Patrick Mahomes will be under 500 for the first time in his career.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm going Justin Herbert as well, but I think it's interesting to note Derek Carr keeps playing this way. Based on matchup, you could potentially end up, starting whatever quarterback you think has the best matchup here in a couple weeks if he keeps playing at the level he is. So, but Justin Herbert this week.
That's a good problem, though. Both of those quarterbacks are highly startable.
Hollywood Brown is active, by the way.
Hollywood Brown is active. I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually moving. I'll move him around and then I'll get to the next one here. Questionable Marquis Brown. Let me get him. Sorry, everybody.
T. Higgins officially inactive.
I got him moved.
Marlon Mack, if that matters to anyone. Maybe the Jonathan Taylor people are interested. He's inactive.
Okay. I'll add him in a minute. We'll get this next question up, and then I'll get back to doing any of this. So boom, updated comments. I need running backs, says Thomas Ramon. Trade Cook for Edmonds and Gibson. Other running back is Mike Anderson. I'm assuming that's Mike Davis.
I must say, who the heck is Mike Anderson?
I did think we threw that back to wasn't Mike Anderson an old Atlanta running back
so.
Maybe back in the day?
I think so. I'm assuming
I thought he was a kicker.
Maybe
I have no clue.
Probably missed kicks from Minnesota back in the day.
Probably missed kicks from Minnesota. I'm not trading Dalvin Cook for Edmonds and Gibson. I know it's tough for this week, but I'm going to need more than that. We've talked about the concerns for Edmonds and Gibson. I would rather start one running back that I'm happy with than two that I'm concerned about. Sully, I see you nodding there.
Yeah, I'm not going to move Dalvin yet for those two, but I could see why. Maybe you're 0-2, and I could see why you don't want to be 0-3. You might do that, but try not to would be my advice.
Bryce.
Yeah, I'm not making that trade for just Dalvin Cook on a weekly basis is putting up the same numbers as those two dudes combined. So I'm not trading in Cook for that.
Adam says Pollard, Gainwell, or Murray. Which backup running back are we starting? I'm going Pollard just because I like Dallas's offense the most, which I think leans to the most upside for a backup running back, and we have seen them get him involved. Bryce, where you go?
Yeah, Pollard pretty easily here. I mean, we've seen what Mike McCarthy does with when he's got two running backs. He likes to use them both. He's made it known that he's saving Zeke for later in the year. So Pollard pretty easily here.
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard has more consistent touches on a week-to-week basis, and I don't see this week being any different. I do like Kenneth Gainwell this week as well, but I would rank them exactly the way they're listed there.
Fantasy football stats guy says, do I drop Tony Jones for Sony Michel? And would you trade Sermon for Jacoby and 10 fab dollars? I don't need wide receiver depth, but I feel like this is very good value for Sermon. I would definitely take Sony Michel over Tony Jones long term. I do think that Sony is more involved even when Darrell Henderson comes back. I don't want to start him this week, though. And then when it comes to Sermon and Jacoby, I think I wait for today. And if Sermon has a big, think about Elijah Mitchell, who nobody had heard of, has a big week one, and then is now the number one waiver priority, one of the fantasy darlings. I get Sermon that start with these other guys out, and then I look to trade him, and I think you could get even more value out of him. Bryce, what are you thinking about those two questions?
Yeah, Sony Michel pretty easily I'm going to take. And then, no, I'm not trading Sermon for Jacoby. I love Jacoby Myers and all as a Patriot fan, but with how thin running back depth is in fantasy football and how deep wide receiver is, Sermon could easily double his value just in today's performance. So I'm going to hold on to him. I think you get I think you can get more out of him right now, and you're going to get more out of him after this week. So, Sully?
I agree with both. I think Tony Jones is see you later for Sony Michel. And as much as I like Jacoby Myers, he has as many career touchdowns as I do. Trey Sermon for me.
Yeah.
Although he threw for 1. So he's got a passing touchdown at least.
Yeah. Come on.
It's never good when your wide receiver has 0 receiving touchdowns, but a passing. Okay, comments. Tim Patrick or OBJ? Sully, which one you starting?
Oh,
That's a good question.
Tim Patrick's a safer play. OBJ is a sexier play. Sexy wins. I'm going to start OBJ.
Yeah, I'm putting in OBJ here. In my opinion, it's pretty close. Sully nailed it. There's definitely a safer play here, but OBJ is just too good of an athlete to sit on your bench for guys like Tim Patrick, in my opinion.
Not close for me. It's OBJ, especially with Landry out. OBJ still gets open. That offense is now in its second year. I think OBJ is big. Plus, we've seen in both the Bears games them blow coverage multiple times, and not just like slightly blown, but like embarrassingly blown coverages. You saw the Van Jefferson touchdown in week 1. You saw the Jamar Chase touchdown in week 2. That could be OBJ today. I'm starting OBJ. Slim back with another one.
Slim's last question today.
This is last question, guys. Is Bateman too early to pick up now to drop a depth piece? I don't think it's too early. I don't think it's ever too early to drop up that guy if you have the squad to weather the storm while somebody's out. I'm definitely, I want to be ahead of everybody. I'd rather be a week or 2 early than be late. So I'm definitely on board with that. I see you shaking emphatically, Sully. You're agreeing with that?
I like that move a lot. And why I really like it is when you beat the waiver wire, it enables you to either spend next to no fab or just add for nothing. And if you play in leagues where there's a waiver priority, you just wait and let that pass and go to the ad drops and grab them there. So either way, it's a good addition and you don't really pay for it. It's a free asset. So I love it.
Yeah, Bryce. I agree with everything you guys said. There's nothing else to say. Try and think of these things before the rest of the league does and get ahead of the game.
Charlie says, is it worth dropping Visca for Kenny in a PPR? No. Anybody say yes?
No way.
No. Nope. Keeping Visca for sure. That offense is going to continually get better, right? As Lawrence gets more experience, as they play with each other more. It'd be great if Urban Meyer would just quit right now and go coach, take the USC job or something. But Juju or Mike Williams, 1 PPR. This is from Facebook. Who was that over on Facebook, Bryce? But I'm going Mike Williams. I think he is that Michael Thomas in the Chargers offense now, especially with the offensive scheme being the same exact one. And they told us that's what he was going to be doing. I'm Mike Williams here. Sully, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I am as well. Although in PPR, I could see Juju having maybe 8 or 9 catches today for 75 yards. But at the same time, I think Mike Williams scores. Like I said, I think the Chargers win, and I think he's going to have a big day. So I'll go Mike Williams.
I'm going to go against you. This is Joe Lindsay. I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to go with Juju. I think we've seen that Juju is at his best when he is not the best receiver on his team. And today he's arguably going in as their number 2 behind Claypool, especially when it comes to, talent, size, and speed. So I'm going to go with Juju just because I think his volume is going to be higher than Mike Williams today with Deontay out. Deontay played. I'm going Mike Williams pretty easily here, but I think the uptick in targets is going to be huge this week.
Definitely valid.
We're seeing Mike Williams get those targets already.
Mm-hmm.
Full PPR, Hunt, Patrick, or Beasley, and let us know who this is over on Facebook, Bryce.
This is Nate Martin.
Answer the question now.
And I'm going Patrick. Sorry. I was thinking the Hunt and Patrick. I was like, I'm going Patrick. Tim Patrick here.
Sully, who you going with?
I want to say Cole Beasley, but I'm going with Tim Patrick.
I'm going to say Cole Beasley.
That's a good answer. I should have said it.
Fields or Tannehill? We got to kind of speed these up too, guys, because it's
Okay.
10 till noon.
This is Travis Ratliff.
Travis Ratliff says Fields or Tannehill.
I'm starting Fields.
I'm going to go with Tannehill.
Tannehill for me as well. Dirty Money says Thielen, McLaurin, or Marquise Brown for this week. Thielen, McLaurin, or Marquise Brown. Sounds like you have wide receiver issues.
Yeah.
Where do people? Why do I not have these? I need to draft better because I don't have these choices.
McLaurin for me.
Thielen for me.
I'm not sitting. I can't sit Scary Terry.
I can't sit Adam Thielen.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, that's hard.
I can't sit Marquise Brown.
I think if you sit anybody, it's Brown, though.
Look at what he's done over the last 10 games.
That's true, but he's not exactly healthy right now. So he's healthy-ish.
Maybe he just had to poop too.
Maybe there's a poop thing going on in Baltimore. Who knows?
Who knows? Something in the water.
I think they just. I literally just think they put everybody on their team on.
So are you saying Brown and you're saying
Thielen?
Okay.
I'm saying Thielen. I think Thielen's the safest play. They all have upside. Yeah, I'm going Thielen.
Do your best to get two of those in your lineup.
Do the best to get all of them. What are we doing here?
I think the best player I said
this is probably like my V1 lineup.
So yeah, you have no running backs and a boatload of wide receivers.
I do now, but when it was Ronald Jones and David Montgomery's rookie year, it wasn't.
I'm late to the party on the Marquise Brown. I've got to come to the realization that he might just be what everybody wanted him to be. So
he's good.
He's good.
Adam Thielen or AJ Brown, half PPR.
Sorry, if you asked me this week one, I would have said AJ Brown easily, but
100%.
At this point, I'm going Adam Thielen. I mean, AJ Brown's the more talented guy, but I'm Adam Thielen.
It's 2 weeks. It's the wide receiver position. I'm going AJ Brown. A little bit of variance is going to happen there.
It's Thielen with more likelihood.
He's dropping balls too. It's just I don't know. Adam Thielen doesn't drop balls.
This is another one where.
I don't care about dropped balls, really.
This is another one where you got to get them both. I don't care about drops either because that means targets. But you got to get both these guys in your lineup.
I'm starting AJ Brown. They're starting Adam Thielen 2-1. I'm on the opposite side of a lot of these. Hopefully these guys don't make me look dumb.
No.
Rick, are they going to make an ESPN 30-30 for Jameis Winston?
Be so good.
I don't know who said that, but that would be great. It'd be perfect. And then somebody said thoughts on Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is a weekly starter.
Yep,
he should be in your lineup. He is the wide receiver one. I don't know if you guys heard me in the offseason. I said this was going to be the case. DJ Shark is.
I told you were insane, and you are not insane. You're 100% correct. He's easily the wide receiver one in that offense.
Ruggs or Sermon, full PPR. This is Thomas asking. I'm going Sermon just because I know he's going to get a bunch of touches, and we never know what we're going to get out of Ruggs. You could have the rug pulled right out from under you. Hopefully, hopefully our boy Craig is watching and is proud of me because I'm just trying to make him proud. Sully, what do you think?
I think you have to start Sermon. I want it to be Ruggs. I really want him to continue on with what he did. Ruggs could get you 30 and he could get you nothing. Sermon is way safer and more consistent. He's going to get the touches, so he's my guy this week.
Bryce.
Yep. I like Sermon this week. I like him. Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done there, and I popped.
No, you're good. You're good. I don't even know what I was going to say. Just like him.
Roman says, "Hi, in a full PPR, I need RB2, Mike Davis, Trace Sermon, or Josh Jacobs if he plays. I think Josh Jacobs is out of this equation." Because it looks like he is definitely going to be out. And I'm going Mike Davis here just because I haven't seen Trey Sermon yet. And this was a guy that was a healthy scratch in week one. Mike Davis is going to be heavily involved in the passing game, which in a full PPR, I like. A target is worth 2.8 carries. I'm going with Mike Davis. Bryce.
I'm going with Trey Sermon. I just think his volume today is going to be insane. I think a lot of different type of running backs can succeed in this offensive scheme. So I'm going to go Trey Sermon.
Sully.
I think I'll go with Bryce. I don't like it very much, though, but we've seen some pretty insignificant, it's not the right word, but it's the only word I can think of, running backs produce in that backfield. So I'll go with Sermon. And Green Bay doesn't scare me as far as a defense, so I'll go there.
We're over on Facebook again. OBJ, Madison, or Rondell. Pick one for the flex. I'm going OBJ myself. Bryce, where are you going, and who asked that question?
That's Joe Kidder. I'm going OBJ as well. I could argue Madison for floor play, but I'm still probably going OBJ for similar floor and way higher ceiling.
Kidder should just trade one for a Bengal and start them. But
yeah,
I think
I will
go OBJ as well because I see the Brown. What was that?
Bryce said he probably has all three anyway.
That's exactly it. OBJ for me. Kevin Stefanski loves play action. Baker's amazing off of play action. They're going to run early to set up a couple of big plays for OBJ, and he's going to have a big day.
Football team or Saints defense? I can't answer this because I don't have defense in any league. But I think Saints play
Packers or Patriots. Football teams play.
I probably go Saints because rookie quarterback on the other side. Yeah, that's probably where I go. I probably just face off against the rookie. We already talked about how they can struggle. And I want turnovers, so that could be it. Sully, I see you nodding there.
Yeah, I'm nodding, but I disagree. I'll go with the football team. I think they get to the quarterback easier.
Psych!
And I know it's 2 weeks, but it's more than 2 weeks. Josh Allen's completion percentage is way down back to his career average again. I'm a little bit concerned about him. That Washington defense is legit. Give me the football team in that one.
Yeah, Mac Jones does one thing well, and that's not throw risky balls. He'd rather check it down than force it. I don't see a lot of turnover in that game where I see a lot more sacks, potential for sacks in the Washington football team's defense. So
Mac Jones had safe balls.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does.
Tannehill or Daniel Jones? We'll get off the ball conversation.
Daniel Jones.
Yep. Jones.
Yeah. I'm on the same side with these guys this time.
So weird, hey? So weird.
Madison, CEH, Tony Pollard, or Drake start one this week. I'm starting CEH. I know people are real concerned, but again, that offense is just bonkers. And at some point, they're going to get him involved. And he's still getting 15 touches. He just hasn't got in the end zone. So I'm going CEH. Bryce.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Andy Reid try and get the young running back's confidence back and rolling today. So I'm going to go CEH here. Madison would be my second choice, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I think it is CEH. As much as I don't want to say that, I think it is. He's the clear path to touches is Edwards-Helaire. I could see him being punished a little bit for that costly fumble, but at the same time, I'm not starting any. I'd probably go Drake after CEH, but it's CEH.
Sure.
Allen or Hurts at QB. He's kind of nervous. This is Sebastian on YouTube to start either of them. I'm not nervous to start Hurts. I'm not nervous to start Allen yet, but Hurts, I think he has a lot of upside in this game versus Dallas. I like the matchup better. And he's probably going to rush for 80 yards. That's a pretty nice floor for a quarterback. 8 points just right off the rip. But we've also seen him be able to put up 300-yard games when they have to pass. And against Dallas, you're going to have to pass. I think Allen's the popular consensus pick, but I could see going Hurts if you're really that worried about Allen. I'm not yet, so Allen would be my start, but Hurts is right there. Good start as well, Bryce.
Yeah, I'm going to go Hurts here. I don't like the matchup for Allen. I think he is going to be forced to get it out quick today. I think the Washington D-line is the best in the league, and they're going to be absolutely wreaking havoc on him today. And I think that, like you said, Hurts' upside with rushing and Dallas's poor defensive back play outside of Trevon Diggs gives him the opportunity to have a really big week. Sully?
Yeah, I agree. It seems weird to be coming off of Josh Allen after 2 weeks, but I think the upside here with a safe floor with the rushing, like Rick alluded to, it hurts for me as well.
I do want to just throw out there, Washington has not been good against the pass so far this year. They've been torched by Teddy Bridgewater and Daniel Jones. Two guys
valid.
that 2 weeks ago we would have said we did not want to start in any one QB situations.
Fair.
Have lit them up. Their front seven is good. They put a lot of pressure on. They stuff the run.
I'd be 100% confident
four.
starting. Yeah, I'd be 100% confident starting either one of these quarterbacks. If by chance you're the Christian McCaffrey fantasy manager and you need a bit of boom this weekend, that's when I would lean to Hurts because I think he has the ability to get to 30 plus more than Allen does this week.
I don't.
That's our buddy Cody. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Yes. I don't know what he's referring to either. But
maybe that's the Mike Anderson.
That's what I was saying too.
Oh, Broncos running back. Yeah, I thought there was a running back named Mike Anderson. I just
thought it was a shitty Vikings kicker.
Joey Bosa is active for any of the IDPers out there. Leatus Tramad says 10 team, 0.5 PPR, pick one, Damien Harris, Gaskin, Madison. Seems like these three are coming up in a lot of our questions today. In this group, I'm going Madison. Just because I think their offense has the opportunity to score the most points. So that gives the most touchdown upside. And that's what I think any of these running backs are going to need to have a really good day. Sully.
Gaskin for me.
Madison.
Mike Evans or Jamar Chase? Mike Evans for me.
Yep.
Bryce?
I don't think it's as easy as people think because I think Mike Evans gets shut down. I think he gets shut down by Jalen Ramsey. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase.
Jalen Ramsey, we're going to roll back. I'm getting into my defense right now. Jalen Ramsey isn't shadowing people anymore.
He's all over the place this year.
Jalen Ramsey shadowing wide receivers is over. What the Rams learned was when you have Jalen Ramsey shadowing wide receivers,
shut down half the field.
You just shut down Jalen Ramsey because Ramsey is no longer in the game plan at all. He has no effect other than that wide receiver not getting any action. So now they're moving him all around. He's playing like a hybrid safety, outside linebacker, cornerback, all over the field so that they can get him involved in the game. And he's been freaking a monster, so far in 2 games this year. So Ramsey's not going to be on Mike Evans, shutting Mike Evans down. He's probably going to be as equally on Mike Evans as he is on Godwin and anybody else that's running routes in that game. Gronk could be the guy that sees a lot of Ramsey today with the way they're playing Ramsey. So just want to clarify that when you're looking at your wide receiver cornerback matchups against the Rams this year, Ramsey's not shadowing your number one receivers anymore. He's
all right. I'll change my answer. I haven't really watched a ton of the Rams, so I didn't know that he wasn't doing that anymore. He put out that tweet saying he's going to love making fan bases mad by shutting down their favorite wide receiver. So I just assumed he was. I'll go Mike Evans then.
Yeah, I watched a lot of the Colts game last week, and dude was everywhere. So,
I watched the Bears game week 1, and he was everywhere, all over the place. It was crazy. Julio Jones or Sony Michel? Julio Jones for me.
Julio for me as well.
It's a huge gap there. Yep, Julio.
Sony Michel or Miles Sanders? Miles Sanders for me.
Sanders for me.
Yep.
Sony Michel is not going to be our answer for any running back question this week because
unless
of Tampa
it's
Bay.
Sony Michel or Darrell Henderson. That's the only way it's
right. Sermon, Tyson, or Drake? Tyson for me.
Tyson for me.
Tyson.
Okay, that was the same question. Half PPR, Damien Harris, Trey Sermon, or Rondell Moore? I'm going Rondell Moore because I think he's got the big ceiling here. Sermon would be second, Harris would be third.
I'm going with Trey Sermon.
I will go Rondell Moore as well. Jacksonville's poopy.
All right. I see. We see your question. We go in order, guys. We go in order with all the questions. We will get to them. If you want to move your question to the top, there's that super chat option. We saw our boy Slim, right?
Slim 74.
5 of them today.
Made it rain today. Thank you, sir.
We don't play favorites.
ma'am.
We go in order until you drop that moolah, and then you're our favorite for sure. Fantasy Football Guy says, would you stream the Raiders or the Giants in the place of the Rams this week? I like the Raiders this week against Jacoby Brissett. But I will say that fantasy production from the defense standpoint comes from teams dropping back a lot, right? If they drop back, you have the sacks, the forced fumbles, the interception returns for touchdowns. You don't get them if a team's just going to run the ball 40 times and throw 20. It limits your upside for a defense. So I do like both of these options, but I would go Raiders because I think they're going to put up points, and Miami's going to have to throw more than they would like to. Any predictions there, Sully?
I agree, but I don't dislike the Rams for your points you've already made, but I would probably go Raiders, Giants, then Rams this week.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah, then there's guys that drop back 50 plus times that just don't turn the ball over very often, and that's Tom Brady, and that's
but he's not exactly going to escape the pass rush very well either. He might just throw it at their feet though.
Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, those are guys that hard to say.
Devontae Booker is inactive.
Sweet.
Barkley, which I was already firing him up everywhere, but yes,
he's a huge DFS play today too.
Big boom.
Kadarius Toney is expected to get a bigger role today, according to beat writers. Maybe he finally gets more yards on the season than Bateman. Maybe he gets more fantasy points than I have, because right now I have more fantasy points than Kadarius Toney through 2 weeks of the NFL season.
Maybe this is bad news for Sterling Shepard.
I think Sterling Shepard. I've had it this week where I don't think Sterling Shepard's going to have a very good week. I think it's going to be everybody else around him, and I think it's due to his previous success in the first 2 weeks. So
Giants could be up 30 at the half and play Toney in the second half too.
Yeah, that's how we get. That's their prediction
up.
Is
Poor
we
Matt
don't
Ryan.
give up. We don't give up any points. We get a bunch, and then we say, okay, you can go on the field.
I'm not sitting Sterling Shepard.
Or maybe
he's going to eat into anything it's these touches.
Maybe his bigger role is now he's been upgraded to Water Boy.
Yeah,
because the Water Boy has more fantasy points than Kadarius Toney does right now.
Yeah.
Craig was proud of me. I'm so happy. And then he said Raiders D is the stream there.
He's the D guy.
Saints to the other D.
He's the D guy.
Stafford or Hurts? I'm hearing myself back in one of your guys' streams.
I don't know.
This one's Hurts for me.
I can't hear you. Yeah, Hurts. Oh, I hear myself too.
Love them both.
I'll go Hurts as well. That's a tough one though. I like Stafford a lot.
Yep, like them both.
Joe Mixon or Trey Sermon? Joe Mixon easily, very easily for me.
By miles, yep.
That was for the last one was Anthony Ford, the Stafford and Hurts, and this one was for Oyul over on YouTube. Rose says Julio Jones or Sony Michel. Julio Jones for me.
Sweet.
Julio.
Is that the same question we got earlier?
Could be.
Yes, so. That is the third time that you asked it. Roe, I promise we'll get to them, but we don't skip anybody ahead unless they pay. And then Thomas talking about how Ramsey's used as a freelancer more and more teams now. He's on defense. Get your playmakers in positions to make plays. Juju and Madison for Jamar Chase trade. I'm a CMC owner. I'm the Chase side. So he wants to know if he should trade Juju or if he should take Juju and Madison for Jamar Chase.
I can see how.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bud.
I was just saying, if this is Dynasty, I'm taking Jamar Chase. In redraft, I think I feel more comfortable plugging in Juju in my weekly lineup. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, so this week it's understandable that the Juju and the Madison side is more attractive. But going forward, this is Juju for Jamar Chase, and I don't think I want to trade Jamar Chase. I know he's a rookie, and I know he's going to have limited probably targets and receptions to Juju, but his ceiling is so much higher. So I want the Chase side of this trade.
I'm on the Chase side as well. This, Madison's only going to be, maybe hopefully 2 games throughout the whole year that you would actually even consider starting him. So like Sully said, it is Juju or Chase is the question, and I will take Chase. And then ZM over on YouTube says Melvin Gordon, OBJ, Marquise Brown, and flex non-PPR. I'm starting both receivers over Gordon. Which one is hard? Because I like both of them a lot this
I think
week.
so too. And they both are on offense that score.
I'm flipping a coin. Like if I had literally had this option, I would just flip a coin. I know it doesn't sound like intelligent fantasy advice, but like I think they're both like same category. Both could bust off a big play today and get you there on one play. Both have good matchups. Both their quarterbacks, like they're good, but they have concerns. So there's no like separating measure for me with these two. Sully, what are you thinking?
I think it's a Javonte Williams week this week, so Melvin Gordon is out. OBJ, I just saw a tweet from Jay Glazer, is not on a pitch count. He's a full go today. I watch this every Sunday, and when it comes down to tough choices, you tend to lean to the better quarterback. When it comes down to just pure passing, I'm going to take Baker Mayfield over Lamar Jackson every day of the week. So OBJ for me.
I'm leaning OBJ as well for everything you just said. It comes down to quarterback.
We'll just make it a shutout, and I'll go to OBJ. Lean that way with you guys, since that's
slightly.
I have them both. It's so close though; it could go either way. Better IR stash: Tyrell Williams or T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton, just because. Well, shit. I was going to say because their quarterback position I like more, because I do like a healthy Carson Wentz over a Jared Goff. But I think I still go T.Y. Hilton. I just think he's better than Tyrell Williams, and Tyrell Williams might not even be the number 1 receiver by the time he gets back. Sully.
Yeah, it's a coin flip for me, but based on career resume and potential, it's probably T.Y. Hilton.
I agree.
DM Fresh says, should I start Julio Jones or Gibson in my flex? This is going to be our last question of the day. Got to make sure we get them lineups in. Sully, who you going? Julio or Antonio Gibson?
This one's tough. I'm going to go with Gibson, but it's tough.
Bryce.
Man, that is a difficult one. Ceiling play, I'm going to go with Julio. Floor, I'm going to go with Gibson.
Can't fight you on that.
I'm going Julio.
I think I'm
but I do
agree.
Overall. I do agree that if you just need a safe play, you go with Antonio Gibson. Okay, we do have one more. It's Aaron Behan. It's pretty easy one for me. Zeke or Sermon. Zeke.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I thought Zully passed out.
No, I was contemplating my DFS lineups that I have to fix here in a hurry.
Okay. I'll be in the audio chat in the Discord. I will drop that link here real quick before we get off. But our boy Slim says later, fellas, good luck. Thanks for the channel. We appreciate you. Our community makes us. We've had great growth over the last, month and a half. So we appreciate all of you showing support. We appreciate the super chat, Slim, and hope to see you all back on Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern for the Dynasty Heat Seekers show, and Wednesday for the Fantasy Inferno, and then obviously every Sunday morning at 10:30 Eastern AM until sometime around noon, 12:15. As long as we can get our lineups in, we stick around to answer questions, and you guys are filling an hour and a half full of just questions nonstop. We appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. And I'm dropping the Discord link in the chat right now. Boom. We appreciate it.
One last little piece. According to the Giants wide receiver coach, Kenny Golladay will be on limited snaps today.
Golladay on limited snaps. Limited snaps for Golladay. Rondell Moore, Sterling Shepard. Last, right at the end.
Sterling
Shepard. I'm hitting end.
Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard,